Welcome to Cam Look, your daily dose of the Cincinnati Art Museum. Each weekday at 10 a.m., staff or volunteers from the CAM will highlight an artwork from the museum. So check out this page every weekday at 10 for more. My name's Andrew. I'm the Associate Director of Docent Learning at the museum, and today I want to show you a couple of photographs from some photographers that I've always admired, but have a newfound appreciation for lately. So this is a vertical grayscale photograph of a water tower, and the title is Water Tower, Toledo, Ohio, USA, by the German photographers Bernd and Hilla Becher. It measures at 24 inches by 20 inches. This was taken in 1978 and given as a gift to the museum in 2009 through the Edwin and Virginia Irwin Memorial. So at the bottom, there's an open field of grass with one light-colored path that runs across the width of the photograph and another that curves back towards the base of the water tower. The whole water tower is white. The top of the tower is a large, wide oval with the words Wood County in dark sans serif letters on the side. There's a thick pipe running through the middle from the top of the tower to the ground, and there are 10 thinner poles around the outside of the tower. Between each pair of poles are a series of wires that cross over in an X shape. There are 4 of these wire crossings between the poles from the top to the bottom. Halfway down there are thin metal poles providing horizontal support between the vertical poles. The clear sky behind the water tower takes up a large part of the background, and there are vague traces of houses and trees in the distance. And this is pretty typical of their body of work. They focused on industrial architecture with black and white photos taken in soft light and without including much of a landscape or human presence. Most of their work was in a serial form that they called typologies. Here's an example from our collection. This is a grid of 6 horizontal grayscale photographs taken in 1978 in 2 rows of 3 of grain elevators, which are outdoor facilities that move and store grain. Each photograph features several cylindrical silos and the machinery around it that processes and sorts the grain. Some are stout, others are tall, but all are rooted in the ground with roads surrounding the facilities. And both photographers, in their typologies, were looking to document how similar some of these structures were while also noticing some differences. And you can see that in this series of 6 photographs of grain elevators. So there are a few things that I wanted to touch on that I find really interesting. For starters, there's this contrast between an image that's unsentimental and an approach to taking it that is very sentimental. So to back up a bit, these photographs are not very expressive. They're black and white photographs. They're very, very utilitarian. What you see is what you get. On the other hand, Bernd Becher started out taking photographs like this to capture architecture that was fading or bound to be lost to time. So there's this emotional approach to it that maybe you don't see on the surface. So it's interesting to me to think about how do we transcend the thought that an artwork is too boring or banal. What do we need to do, whether it's being more patient as we look at it or opening our mind to the possibility that it could just be more than a photograph of a water tower. They used the same camera that early landscape photographers used, and they pursued the same level of detail that classic landscape painters wanted in their paintings. So I wonder why the perception is different. Maybe photography is more of a challenge than a respite, but I wonder why that is. I wonder why people gravitate towards painting more than photography. But I think it's clear from spending time with this photograph that they really were after capturing a lot of detail, not just to document, but to pay respect to this part of their culture and their landscape. I love how they created their own rules for taking and arranging these photos. It wasn't very common at the time to take a series of photos and organize them in these grids, which they called typologies. But it's found an audience in years since they were taken. It goes against what we're used to with art, that there's always one artist influencing another, and that every artist follows a movement or a school of thought. it seemed like Bernd and Hilla wanted to do it their own way, and were just following their urges and their instincts, which I think is pretty cool. I also love that we're looking at the work of two people. Bernd and Hilla Becher were professional partners as well as life partners, and that's pretty rare still. I mean, there are examples of that, but it's not very common. And I think that the solo genius cliche is rarely ever true, but it's really refreshing to see the end product of two people working together toward the same goal. So I hope this helps you enjoy and appreciate Bernd and Hilla Becher's photography. Their photography is in many different galleries and museums, so you'll probably come across it at some point after watching this video. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have some insight into how to look at these and appreciate them, and find something unique from them.